How do you find the will to fight back against a world that wants to keep you sedated, average, and stuck in place? Join us for the tools and strategies you need to create a life of abundance, discipline, and high achievement. This is the Tactical Empire with Jeff Smith.
Welcome to another episode of the Tactical Empire. Today I am joined by Sean Ryder. How are you, my man?
Good. You have fancy window shades behind you, and I have fancy college degrees. That makes me smarter.
Yep. I have no college degrees, so that's fine. All good.
Did you not finish? You didn't.
Huh?
I don't know if you've ever officially told me that. I knew you went to college for football and then went to the military. So you stopped and then went into the military?
Yeah.
What an idiot. Like you will never be successful.
I know. The last 20 years has taught me that, for sure.
Don't worry. The little degree is mine. The big one is my wife's.
That's how my house is, too. My wife, if we hung them, my wife would have a full wall. We don't have that ability. She's got a couple masters and PhD, and so I am definitely under-degreed in our relationship, but all good.
Oh man, we could have a podcast. Maybe we could have a podcast episode today on that. Goodness gracious. The value of a college degree. Your kids are homeschooled and have non-traditional schooling as it is, but you do have do you have a teenager yet or almost a teenager?
Almost a teenager. September.
So maybe not by the time she's 18, but I know you got some young ones like me. So in the next 10 years, do you foresee college being a thing like it is today?
No, I don't. I think you're starting to see it kind of unravel with the government funding being pulled from it. Because, they've been propped up through taxpayer dollars to an extent. And I think what you're going to see is it morph into a more privatized thing where people are going to want their dollars sent to a place that is actually going to produce a machine of a human being, if you will, that can actually do what they're supposed to be doing when they get out of college.
Hard pause, because the topic I had today actually can be related to this. So I'm not going to say what the topic was going to be, but promise, just stick with us on this episode if you're a high achiever and you're trying to do something, because this matters, whether it's for yourself or your kids. So let's hypothetically think in 10 years, let's start with how do we see the importance of, quote, and I put this in air quotes, education evolving for the better, and what areas for your kids, and I'm saying kids because you have kids and I have kids, but if you're a listener and you don't have kids, this is going to be relevant to the areas you should be educating yourself in. So instead of, in lieu of a traditional college education, what would be the most important skills for someone to learn over the next 5 to 10 years to be a well-rounded, successful individual? And I'm not looking for learn AI. Not all of us are gonna be AI experts. But what skill sets? Humanoid skill sets.
Man, the issue is there, as I see it, there's going to be no lack of information because of what you talked about. Everybody needs to be crystal clear on AI. Everybody needs to be gaining skills in that department on how you can utilize it to complement the human experience, if you will. And so I think that your kids need to understand that too, because for instance, I was telling somebody in our group the other day to read the book Traction, and we did a one-on-one, and he needed to implement it in his business. And I told him to throw it into AI, have AI read the book Traction, because it's more of a textbook style thing, right? And so have AI read the book Traction, have it summarize it, then build out a plan of action for his specific business with executable things that he can do over the next 90 days. And that took him 7 minutes. And
I just did that 2 weeks ago.
But I'm a big reader, so I don't think you should do that with every book. I mean, if it's thoughtful type stuff, that traction to me is more of a textbook. It's
I've read the book twice.
implementation.
I've read the
It,
book twice. Now I use AI as a complement to reinforce when I create the traction organizer vision VTO, vision traction organizer.
yes, yeah, and you need that. But like, so where are we going with this? I mean, I think the easy answer is the trades, and you look at other things that will remain for. But ultimately, I think what people are thirsting for more than anything is it's going to be personal connection because things are going to move more towards computers and tech. And so people are going to look more for community. They're going to look more towards like-minded people that are kind of interested in the same things that they're doing. So, I mean, how does that apply to college? It doesn't really to an extent. And so you have to really just understand that you need to be aware of the marketplace shifting. And it's because of this glut of information. Like the information now takes seconds to come back to you, and it's only getting faster and better. I mean, they're going to be out processing us in not too long. And so there's it's definitely a unique time, but I think the things that matter are the people that can help you along the executable journey. So like you bring me that traction executable list, can do you need somebody to for accountability or a partner or something to execute on that or see eyes on to see how it looks? I don't know. Um, I really don't know what's coming, but I do know it's coming fast. And so, as far as what we're doing, I mean, I didn't mean to take this conversation into AI because you tried to avoid that. But I don't know where college is going, except that I do believe it will be more and more privatized. Because if people are going to spend 200 grand, they would like the real promise that they're going to make that 200 grand back and with repeatable results, right? Like we've gotten to such a point with public education and the higher level systems that you're spending $300,000 and getting a fucking job that makes 60 grand. And like that, it's just unsustainable from a payback process because it keeps them in a level of servitude for 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
And as opposed to like building wealth or utilizing that education, and you may see it change into a different model because education and information is so accessible that it may not be like, hey, go do this for 4 years. It may be like, when you're 20 you need to learn this and go do this, and when you're 25 you need to go back to schooling, and it's going to be this immersive type thing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I view it like someone building a business. Like why can't 18-year-olds, they can take out $200,000, and let's just even cut it in half, $100,000 over the next 4 years at 18 to have a piece of paper to maybe get a half decent job, and then they start their career ladder at 22, and you're not peaking income until late 40s into your 50s, right? That's 30 years to peak income. I view my kids as, at that point, what are you interested in? Again, their brains are still developing. So they got 10 years till they're 28. By the time they graduate high school, they have 10 years till they're like brain mature, right? And I
Yeah,
see that now at 36. Like, holy shit, yeah, I didn't start maturing until I was like 32 and like learned some shit,
yeah,
went through some pain. But like, how instead of taking $100,000 for a piece of paper over 4 years and a quote experience of college, I, I could spend 10, 15, $20,000 a year on private mentors. And maybe that's what you meant by privatized, right? Like not
yeah,
an official private schooling system, but like private teachers slash mentors. And then now that we're in the franchise space and some of the guys in the group are opening franchises, like what is there to stop an 18-year-old who has a skill set or wants to learn a skill set and having their parents be quote business partners and get an SBA loan to start a franchise? And that kind of goes back to what you said, like from 18 to 23, learn something. And then at that point, then you as the a 23-year-old start becoming more of like the manager of that business or the owner of that business. Then you have to quote, like you said, go back to school, maybe
yeah,
hire a new mentor to learn the higher levels of business, the actual financials behind the business, not just servicing the business. And that's where my brain went for that when I'm thinking of skill sets. So like
yeah,
broad stroke is everyone, and I know AI tools will help with this, but like you still have to understand money. Like financial literacy will never go out of style. Now, in 10 years, maybe you'll input in a computer like what your goals are and how much money flows in, and it'll automatically control like where that money goes. It's probably already happening, but I think I'm a visual learner, so I still, even when I use tools, I still want to see it. I still want a hand in it, right? Even with traction, like I make my VTO and then I just utilize AI to clean it up and organize it maybe a
Mhm.
bit better. But financial literacy, obviously, uh, interpersonal skills, learning how to talk with people, and that's why like I'm still a little bullish on the fitness space, because I think you can always find 150 to 300 people that want to be around humans no matter
Yeah.
how computerized the world gets. And same thing with the trades, right? You're really big on vocalizing plumbing, electrical, HVAC, all those home services. They're huge right now. Those are the new age millionaires. You still have to be good with people. How many people
Yeah.
hire a plumber and the plumber's good, but they're a fucking asshole? And they'd stop bringing them into. I know plumbers in my town that were clients of my other business that other clients would never hire because they were an asshole to them in class one time. They interacted with them one time, right? So interpersonal skills are huge. So I really like that concept of uh, looking at privatized schooling, non-traditional privatized schooling, and for me, that would just be uh, coursework, mentorship, and finding your tribe, which is really what the Tactical Empire's inner circle is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that what you're talking about is like, because every new level you need a different level of education, and you need to
Mm,
be around different people and things like that. So like, I mean, it could take a lot of shapes. I think when you're young and like college is looking for consistency and follow through. That's what they're trying to get you to do. I don't know if they even do that anymore, but like it was just show up for class and show that you could show up enough times to not get zero on your grade, and then turn in enough homework to finish, essentially. And I mean, there was other reasons people went to college. I mean, don't get me wrong, but like the system has to be set up on a macro level so it can support a lot of people. And ultimately, if you talk about the benefits of what college was, it was a conditioner for like you had to be there at 8 a.m. to be counted as present. And like, but again, that like you can't be a reliable person in the workforce if you can't show up places on time. And so there were lessons taught there from 18 to 22 that could be valuable lessons or perceived as valuable lessons. And so we're going to need to replace those. I think customer service is a huge area of opportunity. I think ever since 2020 and COVID, like our customer service in general is just absolute trash, and people can't be more distracted with their phones. They can't be more like straight in your face about like not giving a fuck that you're even there in their restaurant or in their like store. And which is kind of crazy if you think about it, because like all they've been doing is lobbying for more and more like increased minimum wage, so it's more and more, and then we're getting worse and worse service, so it's diminishing returns for these higher paid jobs, which make no sense. And they do really make sense if you understand like minimum wage jobs were never to be in for more than like 2 years. You're supposed to
right.
be the manager of fucking McDonald's 2.5 years into your McDonald's career, or the assistant manager. You're not supposed to still be the goddamn cashier.
Mm.
And so I think we've just lost our way from those type of things. But if you can combine an actual valuable business opportunity with customer service these days, people jump all over it and they'll pay whatever because like they're not used to being paid attention to anymore. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. We train our kids on certain things: leadership, communication. So they do all their own ordering and things like that when we're out in public, and so like they need to learn how to talk to adults, speak to them, and besides that, I mean, yeah, it's financial literacy. We talk about that type of stuff, and I think it's really simple. And then physical education, like movement and stuff like that. So it's the rest of life is just a personal development journey, and because the reality of it is the reason that I never have a college degree, going back to the start of this conversation, is because I wouldn't ever pass a writing 101 class. And so that's why I wouldn't do the whatever it was, the first 10 classes that you have to do, because you didn't get to pick what you wanted to do. And I was like, that's stupid. I shouldn't have to pick, or I should be able to pick whatever I want to learn about. And so kind of that goes back to what I'm talking about. Like personal development, you got to go learn about whatever you want. Unicorns, daisies, hydroponics, like you could choose whatever you want and figure out like the route you want to take. And so that's kind of what we're doing with our kids. They're on their own little personal development journey already. So
I love it.
we'll
I think
see
we do.
what happens to college.
We do some of that too. Is like, hey, come shred your cheese, and hey, come start dipping your bread for your French toast. And when I take my kids out, I'll give them the card and be like, go pay for this.
Yeah.
Ask for change, and then try. And they're not old enough yet to count full the change. But I played Monopoly with my daughter the other. She's 7, going on 7.5. Played Monopoly with her the other night, and she started counting the money out, which was really really cool to see. So I think those are valuable. It's weird. I've never done this before, but as you were talking, I started like running some numbers on my calculator, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I was trying to think like, okay, a college degree, let's just say you're paying on average 20 grand a year. That's 80 grand on the, I guess, maybe average. I could Google how much it normally is, but let's just say 80 grand for 4 years. But how much of those 4 years, and I know it's not just classroom learning, but let's say how much of those 4 years is actually spent learning, right? If you have 3 to 4 month semesters and you have 2 semesters, that's 8 months out of a year that you're in class. And in class, the average is 15 hours a semester. So that's 15 hours a week, 3 hours a day or whatever. I mean, it's roughly 1,500 hours over 4 years. Like, it's going to take you 4 years and you only get 1,500 to 2,000 hours of learning. How much learning could you fit into 18 months of pure focus on a topic? And I think that's the advantage of privatized education is you can
Yeah.
take that 4-year time domain, squeeze it down into a tighter timeline. So like if you're 18 and you think you want to do something and you spend the next year and a half learning about it and actually doing the damn thing, and then you realize you fucking hate it, you're still only 19 and a half years old. You could do that. You could mess up 3 times in 4 years and have learned way more about what you want and transferable skills. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean you didn't learn something that's transferable to the next thing you try. So I think
Sure.
that is where I'm really bullish on, and by bullish I mean excited to see. I mean, my oldest is 7.5. That means she's 10 years away from making decisions after high school. So I'm
Yeah.
that's going to go by in a blink of an eye. So I'm real excited. It's good to hear the reinforcement from you on that. You kind of see it going that route as well. I admittedly am behind the times when it comes to AI and the big impact it'll have. I use it. I don't understand it, but I will certainly be following people that do. That's a good thing is I don't need to know everything. I just need to be surrounded by some people that do. So Jeff, if there's anything you want to add it. If not, let's send the people out.
Yeah, I think we were all over the place with this topic because I think we're 5 or 6 years from like everything being different. And like a monumental change, kind of like the internet. Like when we first got the internet, how long did it take to evolve into like in a computer in our pocket all the time? Like I think we're in that next iteration of monumental change. And so I don't have all the answers, obviously, at all. I don't know if I have any of them, but like I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be acutely aware of everything changing and looking, identifying opportunities. So, guys, if you want to hook up with us on the Tactical Empire on all platforms, we're out there. We've got the Tactical Empire community. It's a free Facebook group. You can also DM us at any time on Instagram or any of the other channels. Instagram's probably the best because it comes through. So have a great week. Let's kick ass, and we will talk to you on the next episode.